Hello everyone, HazzaJC here, welcome back to my YouTube. This is going to be a quick video talking about some Challengers EMEA stuff. In the build up to Champs, we've got a little bit of downtime, but there's plenty going on in the Tier 2 calendar, and we're going to touch base with that right now. Essentially, we've got some Ascension updates right out of the gate, some huge information. They're changing from 6 teams to 8 teams. They're competing on LAN from Riot Games Arena. We already knew about this, but the format has changed. It's no longer a playoff bracket. We've got 2 seeded groups and 2 best-of-5 Ascension games. So both of those matches to promote for 2026 are going to be played on LAN. This is huge information, big changes, ones which most people will probably be pretty happy about. So yeah, good job Riot with that. But this does affect Challengers EMEA number 3, Tournament 3. Still doesn't really have a working name, but this is what we're calling it. And that's ultimately what's coming up over the next week or so. So that's what we're going to be predicting in this video. And in terms of the teams that will now guaranteed to attend, we've got Twisted Minds and Rad joining the fray, where BBL Pacific and Enterprise have already secured their spot. Now, whoever wins up winning Stage 3 of Challengers EMEA gets automatic qualification and Seed 1. Why is this important? Because now that we understand the format is going to be 2 different groups, Seed 1 and Seed 2 should naturally be separated from one another. And that also means that they likely won't face against one another if they stomp through their groups as you expect them to do so. Now, this group is a little bit different because, as per the tweet, it is a GSL group. What does that mean? It means that the matches will be as so. You have your opening games, your winners match, your elimination match, and your decider to work out who it is exactly that makes the 2 spots either side and gets paired up against each other, because it works differently. It's basically like what the Champs format would be, but with half as many groups, half as many teams. Moving on to Challengers EMEA Stage 3 though, and why this is important. You play these events throughout the year as well as your regional events. That collects points, that qualifies you to Ascension. Now, having opened up to 8 spots instead of the 6, it means that Eternal Fire are now back. It also means that teams that potentially will be looking at a very narrow window to qualify, like Focus on 13, suddenly have a lifeline and feel a lot more secure. There are more permutations that keep them in it than out of it, and Mandatory even, who, let's be real, taking a quick look at the groups that we have for Stage 3, have been put in a farcical position. Now, I don't want to sugarcoat it. This is diabolical. This is diabolical. To put it into perspective, these 3 teams have 4 top 4 placements combined, 2 of them for Pacific and 1 each for Mandatory and Enterprise over Stage 1 and Stage 2. Out of a possible 5 anyway, because Enterprise were in the same group as BBL Pacific in the first stage of Challengers EMEA. And from the positions of the teams, 1st, 2nd, and 6th, this is horrible news for Mandatory. But it's somewhat alleviated now by the fact that the teams chasing will want to get as many points as they can, and it's slightly broader, but we'll get on to that. Let's actually talk about the event and who it is that we're going to be picking. Now, there are a few more days of groups than there were before. Usually it would just be settled over the 3 days and you'd have some meaningless matchups here. But because we have moved to a format now which has introduced the MENA teams, so both Twisted Minds and the Ultimates from Saudi, it does look a little bit different, and yeah, there are more games to cover. So let's cut to the chase and actually see who it is that I think is going to progress, who makes top 4, and who has the best shot at Ascension. So starting with day 1, Liquid Academy, Eintracht Frankfurt. Eintracht finally in an event, in an EMEA event, after not making it past the semi-finals first couple of times in DACH. Ultimately a more consistent year for them than Liquid Academy with the Stage 2 drop-off, but slightly different competition, I think I would say, in DAC compared to Northeast and how volatile it can be. And honestly, Liquid, with the preparation they have coming into a playoff stage, the pacing of the game that Eintracht are going to be bringing, I genuinely think this one does slightly favour them, so I'll be going with them. Koifenix, Twisted Minds. Twisted Minds are no bums. This is a great team. We've not seen them tested against other teams, which yeah makes it all the more crazy that they're already qualified without playing anyone outside of MENA. However, what I will say is that I think Koifenix have looked really good as the year has built onwards, and this is a project for the future. I put full faith in them, even with the changes to sort of clean up here in what is a very, very difficult group to predict. So bear with me. All of this feels like 50-50. Mandatory for the story would be brilliant if they could beat BBL Pacific here, but even with Lovers Rock coming in, it's not taken them very long to climatize. They've looked pretty good as a group, and yeah, you're kind of just hoping that... Look, Mandatory get one win, and honestly, this feels way better, because even 5th to 8th is a lot more forgiving. So essentially, if you win like one game in a 3-team group, you'll get an extra Ascension point, or 2 in this case, actually. But yeah, I think BBL Pacific win this one. They should clear that out. TU Detialys, Mena teams not playing on LAN. It's going to be like 50 ping, but Detialys are a competent side. TU did get swept in the final. I think I'm going to go with Ultimates. Honestly, this one comes down to if Fraction performs or not. I think he was very heavy in the first deaths department for these guys before. Ultimates have a lot of firepower. Day 2, Dynasty, Eintracht Frankfurt. Dynasty have been on a tear, man. And Eintracht Frankfurt are an incredibly strong side, but I do sort of want to lean a little bit more towards backing them here, because I think if you're going to pick a team that's outside the points qualification right now, both on 5, these guys right on the limit of what feels possible if you make it to a playoff stage, for example, you kind of need to be loading up to at least sort of 3rd, maybe 2nd here to feel comfortable. I'm gonna go with Dynasty for that one. Enterprise, BBL Pacific, probably Enterprise. Pacific still look good with the player change, but Enterprise have been plotting a fairly consistent course, and they really need this win to make sure that they're the one team out of the top 2 that makes it out of the group stage into playoffs. Because, look, one of these teams is going to have diminishing returns. A group stage exit is not what you're looking for at all if you're one of these guys. Because, yeah, they've already secured their spot, but you can still slip down the ladder a little bit. That's why this points total is so pivotal for both. Next up, Job Life Ulf. Young squad, hungry squad, but have they learnt the lessons from the previous time they were at an EMEA event? Probably not. Job Life looking incredibly strong, even with 3 lone players. I think the fact that they have 3 lone players is probably the biggest thing with VCT experience. Boars Mouse, love the Boars boys, but Mouse, it's now or never. You know, it's been 2 years, 3 years that we've seen them competing in these events, in these interregionals. They always drop off, but I think now they're looking a little bit more solid. It's their first of the year, right? They've really not had a great track record, but I guess that's the one caveat, that they could potentially drop off again. But against Boars, they can be a little bit one-dimensional at times, and not having a coach to really rely upon. I'm not sure if they brought Jonta back in for this event or not, since he's been semi-relieved of his duties with Foot since they didn't qualify. Yeah, we can probably lock in Mouse here. Team Liquid Academy Dynasty, close game, but I think you go Dynasty just for the story again, and the possibility that they could maybe qualify after what is a long and arduous road against Liquid Academy. I think this slightly more pacey style kind of works out pretty well for both of them, and Dynasty will be happy to play that game. Then again, they have tended to crumble a little bit in these bigger matches. I'm thinking of Ticey and Creamy Dreamy, but they've broken away from that narrative. They've lifted a trophy now. Are they a different team? Let's see. I'll be backing them here. Mandatory Enterprise, I think it's quite straightforward. You probably go with Enterprise. Mandatory really need this win to stay in it. And look, maybe there's a world where they win this and then the tiebreaker allows Enterprise to progress anyway. I think it's a possibility. Mandatory, as I said, they need one win to do something. But realistically, Enterprise are going to move through. Job Life, again, I think they kind of stomped this group. I'll be happy to lock them in against Detialys as well. Mouse, Koi, Phoenix. Koi, I'm really all in on Koi at the moment, to be real. And the teams that are fighting for Ascension still, not the Academy rosters, which can't qualify. They're not on here. The teams that can't qualify, obviously, you know, Mouse need it way more. But do I think that means Koi are going to drop off? Probably not. Look, let's go Mouse, and we'll move from there. Do I think Mouse have what it takes to completely sweep this group, though? I feel like probably not. You know what? We'll go Mouse, but I think Twisted Minds aren't exactly going to go out with a fizzle here. Boars, Koi, Phoenix. Close game, but Koi again probably. I mean, look, I've loved the story of Boar's full Ukrainian roster, making it into a Challengers playoff stage for the first time in East history and Challengers history. They have some ones for the future. I would love to see them go under the Na'Vi Junior banner. Koloshes look really promising. His Neon is great, but would want to see him diversify his agent pool a little bit more. Troisy is your one to watch, though. And yeah, it's this direct approach that has served them well up until a point. Javelin, their IGL, is a former duelist player, so he's kind of set them up for that. But I think Koi Phoenix can handle the fire here. Ulf Ultimate, I've really written off Ultimate so far, but Ulf need a win at some point, and these guys are better than they're better than nothing. So we'll go Ulf. Boar's Twisted Mind's probably Twist, and then Ulf over Detty Elise to close. So I think these are my pick'ems. It's really rough to try and contrast some of these teams, especially when we haven't seen Job Life since Stage 1 in an interregional event, and they've changed the roster a lot, but you're sort of expecting them to do really well here. I'm tipping them as one of my favorites heading in towards the playoff stage, and I think if there's any team to sort of overcome this threshold and squeeze into the Ascension places, it would be them. Looking at the rest of it, Liquid Academy, I think they could make it out of groups. There's a strong possibility, but this one's also pretty stacked. The Maus, Koi Phoenix, and Twist, three-team Fork. I think all of these look really strong as well. Ulf maybe a little bit further down in my estimations, but that was just based off the last EMEA event and the fact they got swept in their regional final, but it's BBL Pacific they're playing against. I think these guys are more than capable. And yeah, I would love to be proved wrong by Detty Elise, to be honest. I've put them here with no wins, but they surprised me a lot. I mean, top 3 in the region is already something to be proud of, I think. They did have a slightly weaker side to the bracket, but all of them have reached the furthest that they've ever been in a Challengers circuit before. In East, Basia has a lot of potential. I think Nun's looking really nice on the secondary duelist. Kaya's calling's been good. Frat can have his moments. We just need a bit more consistency from them. And I think ultimately that's what Tier 2 is all about. Staying consistent. That's why I'm bringing you another upload. Hope you guys have found this one useful. Let me know in the comments who you think is going to show up in the final penultimate EMEA event of the year before we move on to Ascension, and who you think might get promoted at the end of all of it. Appreciate you all a lot. Catch you very soon. Catch you on the broadcast. I'll be there. Make sure to tune in at twitch.tv/Valorant_EMEA. Bye bye for now.